Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Well, welcome everybody to Cup of Joe with Anna and Sheila. I'm Sheila, and this is.
Not Anna. I'm sometimes Melinda. That's who I am. So you got one more week of me, and then I'll be backstage again where I belong.
Oh, we love you, Melinda. You have to
Well,
stay with
thank
us.
you. I am, but I'm just saying I like it when it's you and Anna, and I can just be behind the scenes. So
Well, we're glad you're here
well,
again.
thank
This is
you.
exciting. Sorry I missed you last week.
That's okay. Erin and I just got in there and got it done.
Yep, she's a good pinch hitter.
She is. So it worked
Well,
out
we've
well.
we've got some interesting things going on in Florida. Our governor's back. I guess he was shamed into coming back from an article in the Orlando Sentinel, wondering
Yes,
where he was.
yes, he
So,
was in Texas helping do their border wall. So he would have a talking point and using our funds, our Florida funds, to go to Texas. Don't get me started. But
well, and
yeah, our
Texas,
talking points.
Florida has the highest number of COVID cases in the country again.
Yeah, the D
With
variant is a lot. It's alive and well here. Delta variant,
yep,
alive and well here in Florida, and it's a big old mess, along with the stinky red tide and the stinky fish beach.
oh, that red tide is, and it's all because of an environmental disaster down in Piney Point.
Yes.
We're going to have an environmentalist on to talk about red tide and fish kills.
I will work on that because I'm the booking agent. Hey, if anybody is out there, oh, I know, maybe I've got a connection and wants to talk to me, please let me know because, I really want to talk to someone about this and I will book you because I am the booking agent.
You are the booking queen.
Officially. Sheila helps me a lot. Don't let her fool you. She's very busy. We meet every week. We strategize about who we're going to talk to, and we get on there. And Val Demings and Nikki Freed and Charlie Chris, if you're watching, we reached about 2,000 people last week. So
Yep.
you need to get on board and come on our show if you want to be in the know in Hillsborough County and reach voters in Hillsborough County, especially those suburban moms that y'all talk about wanting to get to. So here we are. We're right
Yep.
here on our show.
And we may not have the demographics as far as the plus R for Republicans in the district, but you know what? We out register the Republicans in this district 2-1. We just don't have a lot of people who vote, and that's what we're working on this time.
Exactly.
So, but we have, following up from last week's show of getting your kids ready to go back to school, we decided that we would talk about getting your animals ready to go back to school. And I hate using the word animal because they're actually our fur babies.
Yes,
but some people think that that's weird when you call them your fur babies. So we'll say your pets. We'll say your kitty pets and your doggy
people
pets.
that have fur babies don't think it's weird at all. I think that people that have fur babies absolutely get it because you love them
Yes.
so much, and they're such a they're part of your family, they're part of your everyday life, and they enrich your life. So I honestly don't know what I would do without all my fur babies because they just, I have days, I have health issues,
Yep.
and some days I don't get out of the bed, like yesterday, because I partied too hard on my birthday. I had to make up a day and just rest and recuperate. And so, we're all my animals on the bed with me, loving on me. So
Of course.
I love them.
Of course. And sometimes they come on the show.
Sometimes they do. Frank
uninvited.
Yeah, Frank was like, "What you doing? Let me see."
We've had Obi on the show. We've had Joe on the show. We've had Frank on the show. So we've had a lot of them on the show.
We've actually had Frank and Marlon on the show when they were my foster kittens before they were foster tails. But I couldn't give them.
And didn't Frank and Marlon come to the polls with us too?
Yes, they did. They were out there. I forgot about that. They were itty bitty babies then, like teeny tiny little things. Now they're big boys.
They are.
That was when I thought Marlon was Maryland. I have a rainbow tag on for Marlon because he's my transgender cat. He's very hip.
Well, speaking of cats, we have a great guest today. Full disclosure, our guest and I are cousins. I am the oldest child of the oldest child, and she's the youngest child of the youngest child. Her dad and my mom were one of 8 in a family, and her dad was the youngest, and my mom was the oldest. So we have Laney Nee, who is the Animal Behavior Manager at the Animal Rescue League of Boston. And they do some amazing, amazing work with not only getting animals to families, but helping folks with behavior issues. If you've got a dog or a cat that's just doing weird things, Animal Rescue League is right there for you. They have some great resources online. Laney, I perused them yesterday and I was thrilled. And I know Aaron will put some of them up for you. But welcome, Laney. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the invite, even though I'm family. So, I got a little bit of clout there.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at the Animal Rescue League?
So I am the Animal Behavior Manager. So I have the opportunity of managing five programs under the behavior department. So that those programs include a full-fledged dog training and behavior consultation program at our Dedham, Massachusetts and Boston, Massachusetts locations, in addition to doing some virtual stuff. We run a free pet behavior helpline, which is national. That is a helpline that's run by myself, but also a ton of really experienced and trained volunteers that help with any and all behavioral concerns, issues. And the good news about that is all virtual. So that's via telephone, email, any other way you can get together. So that can be broadcast everywhere, which is exciting. It's available to everybody, not just our adopted animals. We have a working cat program. So going back to the cats, what that means is the cats that want to do a job versus just being in your home and being pets. We offer that program in addition to a post-adopt follow-up program. That means that all the animals that we send out with behavioral concerns, we follow up with. We build relationships with those families to ensure that they have all the support they need. And lastly, we also work with the behaviorally challenged animals that come into our buildings. And we do have 3 locations. So we have one, again, Dedham, Massachusetts, where I am right now, Boston, Massachusetts, and also on Cape Cod in Brewster, Massachusetts. So there's a lot going on here.
I have a question. What is a working cat?
So a working cat means that they do a job for us versus, as opposed to, again, just being pets. So they will do rodent control. They'll do all kinds of stuff working in a brewery, in a barn, in a warehouse.
Okay, all right, I got it.
Too. Yep, so that's...
I'm leash training my cats right now so that they can be adventure cats. So I'm working on that with them.
What kind of things do they do in a brewery other than drink?
They make sure the place stays sanitary and clean, basically.
They get rid of the mice.
Yep.
Okay, when I come back as a cat, that's the job I'm getting.
It's really fun, and the cats love it. Like, I have a cat right now that we placed in a wine store, like a store that sells spirits and such, but it's right on Tremont Street. The cat is famous. Like, everybody goes to see this cat, Howard. Yeah, and this cat is featured in all of their social media. It's the best, and the cat's living his best life. It's really fun.
Oh, that's so great.
Oh, that's so good.
Get rid of all the geckos. That's their job. I take them out every morning out by the pool, and they are chasing all the geckos. And Cooper does too, my dog. Sometimes they're hilarious because it's almost like you can see them making a plan, and then they go out and they're looking for the geckos. It's funny.
Well, Gracie this morning was looking out the window, and there was a black snake in the bushes behind the house. Ooh. And the snake had its little head up, and it was going along the bushes, and she's just like. So I'm interested to know what we should do about our pets when we go back to work.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot last week about our kids going back to school, masks, no masks, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people adopted animals during the Hello. A lot of people adopted animals during the pandemic to keep them company. And what should we look for when we're getting ready to send us back to work?
So just like us, when we started with the pandemic, everybody had to switch their whole routine of like, okay, I get up, I go take a shower, get up, go to work, that whole thing. And then it switched to, okay, I just go to the TV room or to the office or whatever in the house. So it's weird. We have to do the opposite. So now there may be some pets that have never experienced you guys leaving to go to work, which is very weird and odd. And the animals may not know what you're doing or why you're up so early, or at least even putting the shower on that early. And so those kind of things you want to start now. So if you haven't necessarily gone back to work or school yet, start building that routine a little bit now. So start setting, I know it stinks, start setting that alarm, getting up at the same time, around the same time every day, maybe adding meal time. So if your pet has been free feeding, for example, if a cat is free feeding dry food, keep doing that, but you can set times for wet food. During those times that there might be a need for them to have their wet food to build that positive association to you walking out the door, because that's going to be an adjustment. Give that wet food then, so you build that positive association. Same with dogs. So dogs may be grazing their food all day. Let's set them up and make it so that they're eating 2 meals, 3 meals a day instead at specific times, and building that routine in sooner than later.
What about separation? How can we prep our animals to be aware of us leaving, and what kind of behaviors are we going to look at or prep for?
Yeah, so sometimes you can't necessarily predict it. You might just see behaviors that you'll see and it'll come out in the wash essentially when you leave. But other things you want to do is start leaving now. So, go to the grocery store, grab a cup of coffee a few times a week, get yourself ready to start doing that process. It'll not only help you, but it'll help your pet to understand that you're actually going to leave, and you may leave for an extended period of time. Building that routine in now. So for example, right now I'm in this room. I dropped some food on the ground, so Ben is just doing his thing. Now, if I didn't do that and I was just ready, you would see a lot more him, jumping at the door, stuff like that, paying attention to everything that's happening outside. You want to occupy them prior to them having to need to be occupied, if that makes sense. So basically what you'll do is, before you're even leaving the house, get that special Kong, that food dispensing toy, something that your cat or dog hasn't seen since the last time you literally walked out the door. And that comes out every time. And then they're like, oh, I can't wait for you to leave. Are you leaving yet? Are you leaving yet? And then it makes it so it's so much easier to do when you actually have to leave.
I have a question also, because a lot of people are starting to travel, like my family. I had, unfortunately, a death in May. And when I came home, I was gone for about a month. My cat, Sasha, was so angry at me that she literally looked right at me and peed on the sofa. She was peeing all over the house. I took her to the vet to make sure she didn't have a urinary tract infection or something physical going on. He's like, nope, she's just mad at you. So we had to put her back in the bathroom for a couple of weeks and kind of retrain her. Mm-hmm. And now she's doing well. But I'm like, okay, I'm going away again, hopefully, unless this variant D takes off and they cancel stuff. But I'm supposed to be going to Italy at the end of the month. And we're going to be gone for 15 days, and I'm worried that she's going to do that again.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So things to look for in your pets, if you're worried about their adjustment or worried about them not adjusting well, dogs are pretty easy. They might bark. They're much more outwardly anxious. You'll see the changes. Cats, you may not. Like, they might be just so excited to see you that they seem normal, but then all of a sudden you go to sit down on the couch or you go to pick up your laundry and you're like, why does it smell so funky? So yes, they are much more subtle about the changes that might affect them.
She was not subtle. She looked right at me and went,
So that could also be anxiety and stress based on just not
peel away, that peel away stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I did all that stuff too. That seemed to help. And also, I think some of it was, my poor Max had dementia and he would bark and bark and bark.
That was probably causing some stress too.
Some of it too. Yeah, I think so.
And so that's essentially, they use their urine and feces to explain their stress, or to say that they're stressed or communicate that they're stressed. So really, again, keeping that routine, maybe consider a smaller space.
Gotcha. She found a ball.
She's like, oh my God.
She's very proud. She's like, you're talking about me. What are you talking about me for? She's such a diva. We are the only 2 girls. All the rest of them are boys. So my husband, my sons, my dog, my other 2 cats. So we're the divas.
So I can clarify, however, pets do not necessarily get angry. with us. They don't think that way. So it's just more of a exhibit or communication of anxiety and stress. Oh, look at.
Hi, buddy.
Sasha, that's my little girl.
Goodness. Look at that.
She's a Lynx Point Siamese that I rescued from the shelter. She was a feral kitty.
Oh.
Well, I actually rescued her from rescue cats, and that's what got me into fostering, right?
God,
So how can we set up our animals for success for going us back?
So being very proactive. So it's very important to really prepare, and it's hard. Human nature, I don't prepare for anything, but it's very hard for us to prepare, but it's really important for your pets that you prepare for the changes that are going to take place. So again, creating that really structured routine with food, with toys, with everything, where in the mornings you get up, you do your thing, you feed, you walk, you exercise, and that includes cats. So you want to build in a playtime. And then midday and then afternoon, and make it so that there's some downtime in there. So a lot of people have gotten their animals so used to them having time with them all the time that you truly want to create that downtime. So you don't necessarily have to always be interacting with them 100% of the time. So building that in, giving them things to do. And again, really the structure is going to be where it's at for sure. And the last thing, and this might be what you may be segueing to, but rewarding calm behavior is really important. And the reason we use that term of rewarding calm behavior, some people call it the chill protocol. I've heard it by a very, very famous trainer who we work with a lot nationally and internationally. She calls it the chill protocol. And what it means is when your dog or cat are like up and nudging you and all over you or meowing or barking, and we tend to, as human nature, want to be like, oh my God, look at how cute, or knock it off, cut it out. What's happening is we're actually reinforcing that because dogs don't speak with language. They speak with their body language. And so it's the opposite. If I were to come onto this podcast and like turn around and ignore you guys, that would be super rude for human communication. But for canine and feline communication, it's actually a little bit more okay to do that. So for example, if Ben were to look at me right now, he's in the room with me, and he were to look up and start nudging me, and all I do is start touching him, I've kind of just said, yes, keep nudging me, right? Now, if I'm sitting here nice and comfortable and watching and paying attention to you, and he comes and nudges me and I ignore him, eventually he's going to give up. And once he gives up, then I will go and touch him. And that builds that calm energy for them to be a little bit more like, oh, I don't need to be excited all the time. I do understand how to have impulse control, how to be chill, how to be calm. And that's what they get more, they get paid better for that. It pays more with attention, with love, with food, with whatever, if they're calmer. The calmer they are, the better. So that means that once you actually leave the house or leave anywhere, they realize that the calmer they are, the quicker you'll come back. As opposed to, it works to get their attention when I'm nudging. They're going to try that when you leave, and that nudging is going to get more and more and more. And that is what tends to build anxiety and stress. And then you start to see some elimination problems. You start to see, them trying to escape because now they're panicked because they're so used to getting your attention. By doing all of that nudging, it kind of snowballs into real, true anxiety.
We have a neighborhood page, and I can't tell the number of times it's, oh my God, I turned my back and my dog escaped. If you see this dog, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I have to admit,
because
my neighborhood has some of the cutest dogs on the planet.
Mine does too.
Yes.
The good news is they get used to it a lot faster. So we've only been in this room for maybe going on 45 minutes. And he's so much more chill than he was when we first got here, because most of the time when he comes over, I totally ignore him and he's like, fine. And he just gives up, and he realizes that I'm going to call him over when he's probably starting to fall asleep.
Well, he's a good boy.
He's a good dog. Yeah, he's a really good dog. But they're all, whether they're good or not. Now, of course, one could argue like, oh, you're a trainer, so you know what you're doing. No, trust me. No, I am the plumber with the leaky faucet. So it truly is. This is why I teach this way, because it's so much easier for people to interpret so that they truly can understand, like literally literally ignore them when they're nudging and pushing, which again is hard because you just want to give them attention, and only give them attention when they're nice, calm, and quiet. And then it translates into, look I'm on the phone, and automatically my dog realizes I'm on the phone, you need to go relax. And it does really work.
Yeah, that was Max. He was deaf, but if I was on the phone, he somehow knew I was on the phone and would start barking every time.
Yep.
And he was always a very calm dog until he was older.
Mm-hmm.
And he got dementia, and he just kind of, had some issues for a couple of years there.
Well, I think it equates to kids too, right? So when we're on the phone, it's like an automatic magnet to, let's bother mom. Dogs are the same way. Cats are the same way too.
Cooper's pretty good. He's in there with my son right now, so he's in heaven. So yeah.
So what else can we do for our animals? You mentioned something about a Kong treat. What are those?
Yeah. So Kongs, stuffed bones. So Kongs, I should have brought one. It's a little red cone that it has a hole in the middle. So it looks like this hole in the middle. You put all kinds of delicious stuff in it, and the dog spends time eating it, trying to get it out, because the hole is small enough where it'll hold the food, but the dog can't get the food very quickly or easily.
Another thing that I saw, it would depend on the size of dogs. Like I would do it because my little dog only weighs 8 pounds. So I would do it with a mini bell pepper, but you can stuff like yogurt and blueberries, and then stick a dog treat, like a bone, like a little bone or whatever in there, and freeze it, and then give it to them, especially in Florida where it's so hot.
Yes.
That's another good treat. And it takes them, because it's frozen, it takes them a while to get all that. But I'm on a page on Facebook called Canine Enhancement. And they have all that's where I got that idea. So you don't have to buy, because cleaning those Kongs is a pain.
They actually come with a special brush.
Yeah, I have the brush. It's still hard to get all that stuff out. So I like the idea of the bell pepper much more, because then they're getting some good nutrition in there too.
Yes, I agree. Just be careful with peppers, because sometimes they can affect their stomach, and some can tolerate, some can't. So definitely something along those lines are great to use. What people also do is they will fill a small pail or a metal bowl, like their dog bowl, with water and a bunch of treats and a bunch of kibble, and then freeze it. And then they have to spend time licking, and that's really good for hot weather, for sure.
That's good too. Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's lots of stuff you can do. The only tip that I have for those specific things, though, is strategize with them. So don't just give them out just for fun, like just because. Strategize. If you're going to be on the computer, if you're literally going to be leaving, if you're going to be wanting to cook dinner and they are always up in your grill trying to get the food, strategize and use those things to your advantage, where you're going to take the metal bowl of frozen food, whatever, out, and they get that when you're doing something. Then eventually what happens is the minute you start to make dinner, they go right over to their spot and they're used to getting whatever they get. But the key is to take it away afterwards, so that they don't necessarily, like when you get home, they're like, oh, good, now I can chew it all up and whatever. No, it actually goes away so that it's ready and new the next time that you need it.
I just throw food at my cats.
Or that. I do too. I throw food at dogs.
I can't do that because Cooper would eat it. They love to eat each other's food, love each other's treats. I don't know what it is.
That's in their DNA.
It's because they want what they can't have, right? It's typical of everybody. So my pet children are the same as my adult children.
Oh, for sure. Puppy classes are just like that. The puppies want all the other people's treats, even if they're like dog kibble in my treat pouch right now. They're like, oh, it's good because it's coming from somewhere else. Like our treats at home aren't good enough.
Yeah, no, they're never good enough. No. They're always good outside. I do have another question about aggression in dogs. A lot of dogs have been at home with their humans for a year and a half, and now they're going to start going out on walks and seeing other people. What do we do about that?
So that's a really good question. So we battle this up north as well, because there's such an aversion to the environment that there's so many people, not too many dogs, and there's a lot going on. And I don't know about you guys in Florida, but we have, I want to say, at least quadrupled the amount of dogs that are in our communities here during COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
I don't
So
know, but I know that our rescue has adopted out a lot of kittens. And we are still,
yes,
and we need rescue cats needs volunteers. Just FYI, Rescue Cats of Florida. And if you can plop something on there for Rescue Cats of Florida, I'd be very grateful because we need volunteers. We need people coming in to help us at the stores. If you can't foster right now, then you can go in and volunteer and help get the kittens adopted. So we're just looking for help any way we can get it. So
that's
there's my
awesome.
plug.
Love that.
Sorry.
No, I love
Sorry,
that.
not
That
sorry.
was valuable.
So what I see a lot of times is people with the prong collars to train their dogs. What's with that?
So let me just answer the question about the aggression first. So basically what happens, yes. So basically what happens with dogs that are in unfamiliar places, some dogs may have a higher propensity for a fear reaction. And it's just like humans, there's 3 instincts to fear is fight, flight, or freeze. And dogs have the same thing. And usually if they're fearful of something, they'll want to run away. But if they are confined and contained to the leash collar, which we are required to do, they might, then we take away the element of flight. So they might get into fight, try to create distance from what it is they're afraid of. So that may turn into aggression if treated inappropriately. So they are truly just trying to communicate. If you remember, aggression, barking, growling, biting is all communication. It's as if we are communicating with each other, but they can't use voice like we can. So what happens is if you use things such as prong collars, electronics, vibration, stuff like that, is dogs are just doing normal stuff that they know what to do instinctually to communicate. If we start correcting that by adding pain, they're going to be built a negative association to that thing that they're looking at. Not so much the fact that they're pulling or the fact that they're being vocal or anything like that. They're going to think it's because of what they're looking at. So it would be an adult, female, male, a child, or another dog, which means then they'll start to look at that person, child, or dog and say, I really don't like you anymore. Because every time I see you, not only do I get nervous of you, but then I'm in pain because of you. So I don't really like you anymore. And that's when you get even more aggression. So it's those are very dangerous techniques to use. Unsuspecting owners will use those techniques, go up to a dog, and all of a sudden there's a severe dog bite and it came out of nowhere. Not necessarily. It's all built up frustration. So the best way to work on this is just what I'm doing here with Ben, is always using high value, delicious food, toys, something more positive. Because the more positive we build that association, the more they're going to love it. Every time a person comes to the door and Ben gets hot dogs, he's like, come to the door more often, as opposed to wanting to bark and bite or whatever he's going to try to do, right? He's a full breed Rottweiler, so he has that protection instinct in his brain. I'm switching that. Now, one could argue like, oh, well, if somebody does come and try to hurt you, he's not going to do his job. He will do his job, I promise. So it's really, really important to build that positive association because we want our pets to love everything. And we always want to build the positive association so they don't have to be afraid because we're not going to let anything happen to them.
Aw. Yeah. I have another question. For travel, how do we get our dogs or cats to travel with us on a plane? What's the best way to prep them for that?
So it depends. I'm always about size matters. So the bigger guys, I would avoid it. There's just a lot of accidents that have happened before. I'm sure there are travel companies out there if you have to relocate or go for an extended period of time and you want to bring your pet. There are travel companies that do it very, very, very safely. Those are what I would suggest for those. But traveling on vacation or such, for the bigger guys, I would definitely suggest doing a pet sitter or, a reputable daycare, something like that, or a boarding facility. For the little guys, the first thing you want to do for cats and dogs, for little dogs and for cats, is get them used to a carrier. Carriers are going to be what they're going to be in for an extended period of time, and you really don't want them to be in the carrier for the first time going to the vet, the first time going in the car, or the first time going on a plane. So I would make that a part of your actual, right in the middle of the floor, like it's a piece of furniture. And every once in a while, you toss some food in there. The pet goes in there, whether it be a cat or a dog, and they're like, wow, this is kind of cool. And building, again, that positive association, maybe feeding meals in the carrier so that they really start to get used to it. And then once they're used to it and kind of going in on their own, sort of, then you can start closing it up. And then you can also add food to that. I like to use meals because dogs and cats are eating their meals anyways. Why not do some work during their meals instead of them eating out of a boring bowl? Because that's kind of boring, right? And so try that. Maybe if your cat doesn't get wet food very often, go for, putting the wet food in the carrier, seeing if they'll eat out of that, just because. And then eventually you'll get them comfortable with that, take them on a car ride, and then bring them on the plane. Sometimes people have to use medication, which is something that you could talk to your veterinarian about.
Well, Melinda has a clear carrier that she just tosses her kittens in and drags them everywhere.
That with kittens for sure is one of the best ways to do it, because it's just a part of your routine. And they've
actually torn it up because they like to play in it and they like to sit on top of it and then fight with each other, and they can't figure out why they can't get to the other person. They're hilarious with it. So I've got to get a new one because they destroy. It was actually for Diva, and I had it all decorated and cute, and they just messed up.
It was pretty funny. When we were working at the polls, we were doing early voting, and here comes Melinda with her 2 cats in the bag.
Oh,
she brought her cats.
I was socializing the kittens.
So I have one of my birds is very, very, very social. She's adorable, and she can go wherever because she's so friendly. I'm actually starting to get her used to that so that she can come to work with me and come to different places with me. She's really fun.
Oh, is this the one Coleman hangs out with?
No, that's Bob. This is the one I hang out with. I don't know if you can see him there. Ben,
hi, sweetheart. Where's Ben?
Say hi.
Oh, look at the face.
That face. Sorry, I don't know if you can see him. There he is.
Buddy.
We got him. And this spray cheese is the best thing that has ever existed in the world. This is like a baby bottle for him.
That is how I got
and it's really
my Cooper to stop. You know how puppies are always nibbling on you? So what I would do is get the Kong for puppy, the spray stuff like that, and put it on my hand and say kisses. And when he started to bite, we would get him to kiss instead. So when he starts to get mouthy, even with the cat, they play and play and play. It's like kisses Cooper, because sometimes he forgets and he gets a little, but usually they give it right back to him.
Is there actually cheese coming out?
Yeah, the tiniest little bit, because I only have a little bit left, but yes.
Aww.
It's like a baby bottle. It's adorable. And
I love it.
Oh my God, he's so good with it. I can take him anywhere because he's really strong, and he just loves it. And it's really funny because he's so big, he looks like a big monster, but then he has this baby bottle, right? Give me a paw. Good boy.
What a good boy. Hi, Ben.
You're
Here's Marlon Brando.
This is Marlon Brando.
Oh,
No.
I love it. Yes, I see it. That's really cute.
So,
the flame point Chinese.
What other words of wisdom can we impart to our viewers? I think we've talked about separation and setting up the animals for success and creating routines, especially around food. I think that's kind of what we do with our husbands.
Right, exactly.
And rewarding calm behavior. Oh, he didn't bark.
And also, what my question is the kids, because my animals were, Max especially, was very attached to my children. He would get sad when they would go to school. So sad. So
sadly, you do have to start to, that's kind of why you build the routine and you put that independent time in there. So nobody hangs out with the dog. Nobody hangs out with the cat. Like, it's just independent time for the children, the adults, and also independent time for the pets. Because the more they get used to it when you're home and when you're not home, the easier it'll be for them to settle both times as well. So I think the biggest one is to be proactive. Being proactive is the most important thing for pets. And that's the epitome of pet training, is being proactive. Human nature is very reactive. We react to things after they happen a lot with everything in life. It's just human nature. With dogs and cats, it's way easier, and all species, I should say, it's way better to be proactive so that we can set them up for success. So really think about it. I was on the phone with my sister-in-law yesterday, and we're working with her dog because her dog is going to be in her wedding that's coming up in a month. And so we're remote because she's in DC, but we're really trying to work together. And one thing that she did was she's utilizing every opportunity now as a training opportunity. And so with that comes a lot of preparation and planning. Like, you can't just run out the door anymore. And that's the only way that she can really make success, is using what she has in real life scenarios, as opposed to going crazy trying to set it all up. So what'll end up happening is, like, for example, she took him to a softball game, which they go to every week. But this time she was armed with her food. She had a really nice harness on. Like, she was ready to rock and roll, because what'll happen is, when Patrick, her dog, is in a scenario of lots of people, which is going to be the wedding, we are then just putting him right into a scenario that he's been practicing with for months. So it's being very, very proactive so that the pets can prepare for what it is that they're going to be preparing for, which is you guys going back to work, sadly. Well, maybe people are excited about it. I don't know.
I do have a quick question before we let you go. What about hybrid work environments? So if I'm working from home 2 days a week and then 3 days a week I go to the office, is there anything different we do to prepare for that?
Yes, keep the routine going, even if you're home. It'll be really tough to do, because you're going to be so happy to be home for those couple of days that you're going to want to be like, throw caution to the wind. Nobody cares. We're just going to do whatever. The best thing for pets is to really keep their schedules on top of things, like keeping their schedules as is. So yes, you may have to get up at the same time every day. But I did that during the COVID shutdown. So I have a handful of dogs at home and I need some sort of control. And when I was working at home, it was like an animal shelter. And I actually had 2 fosters too, believe it or not. It was crazy. It was pandemonium. But the only way I made it through was truly keeping that structure in line. So we would get up at the same time. Everybody would be out. We go for our walks, whatever. And then what we would do is everybody would be put away in their crates or in their own space. And I would go up to work. Coleman would be at work already. And so then we would keep that routine going the whole time. And now I left back for work and it's the same thing. So that's my only advice.
I love going to your house and it's like, okay, crate up. And the minute they hear crate up, off they go. It's like, what happened to them?
Exactly.
Oh, we heard that. He's like, where am I going?
Where should I go? All the construction workers are now. Then, boy. Yes. So that's what my dogs know. They know it. I could tell them to do that 15 times. I did it once because I tried to record it and it was ridiculous. They kept coming out and then going in, then coming out, then going in. It was really fun. But yes, I love crates. That's a whole other topic. But just having their own independent time in a space that there is their own is really helpful.
Oh, well, Laney, you have given us so much advice. Erin, if you could put the link up again to the Animal Rescue League of Boston, that would be tremendous.
Yes, and please remember our free pet behavior helpline.
Yes, I might have to call your free pet behavior helpline because I have a cat with dementia who screams at 3 o'clock in the morning.
We can help you with that.
Oh, good, because it's traumatizing to the humans. Especially when she's staring at the wall, trying to find out why the wall won't move.
That was Max. It was difficult. You would get caught between the door, like, if you have the bedroom door kind of cracked, you would get caught between the crack and the door and couldn't get out and couldn't figure out how to back up and turn around. It was sad by the end of it.
I know.
But Sasha will also cry in the middle of the night because she thinks she's alone and she doesn't like that. So
we're going to be calling you afterwards, Laney.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been an amazing opportunity. I'm so excited to be a part of this team. So thank you.
I am too. And for anybody else, we're going to put the number up. They do have a hotline. You can do virtual dog training, especially all of you with your cute little puppies who need some attention. All of you people who have prong collars on might want to actually call Laney and talk about getting their dog off the prong collars and retraining them for success. Yeah. Oh, it was good seeing you. Thank you, Laney, so much. Hugs to Ben.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
and
meet
I'm
you.
in Boston. My first son was born there. We lived there for about a year. So it was an awesome experience. To get to
She
stay
learned
in
how to
Boston.
drive there, which explains our kinship down here.
Yes, and I learned how to say Boston correctly because I would get in trouble every time I went through the tolls. The tolls, if I said Boston. They're like, no, not Cleveland. It's Boston. I'm like, okay. So,
all right. Mwah. Thank you, Laney. We love you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was great.
that was great.
So we've got our kids ready for success. We've got our animals ready for success. And next week, we're going to talk about education in Florida.
Yes. And
who's our special guest?
Her name is Bianca Goldsby, and she's bringing the receipts. She's awesome. I cannot wait for everybody to meet her. And she'll be here, and she will be prepared to let some people know what is going on. So I'm very excited that she is going to be here. I started following her, I guess last summer, and I asked if she could be on the show, and she's very excited, and she's coming on. So yay!
Well, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
That'll be our last show during the day. We are going on. Yeah, thank you, Erin. We're going to start Monday nights. As everybody knows, Anna is now in North Carolina, and she'll be there for a little while doing work. We hope she comes back soon. But so we're going to broadcast on Mondays at 7 p.m., which will make it easier for Anna. It'll make it easier for Erin. Melinda and I don't care what time we go on.
No, because we were tired.
Yeah,
but I will be here. I will be out of town that first week. So, and then I'm going at the end of the month. I'll be in Italy for 15 days. So,
must be tough. So we're looking forward to a lineup of some great speakers. We have no idea who we're going to have yet.
I'm going to work on an environmentalist. That's what I'm going to work on today.
Perfect. Talk about Piney Point. If anybody has any ins to the Nikki Fried campaign, we've asked her to come on a couple times, and she's apparently extremely busy and won't have time until the end of the year. So we'd like to get her on sooner rather than later. But
Val Demings and Charlie Crest, I've reached out to both and haven't heard anything back from them, but I'm hoping they will come on the show. And anyone else out there wants to come on, just let me know. Erin will put up my information, and I'll be glad to book you.
And Mike Beltran, if you're out there, we'd love to have you on.
Yes, we would.
We have questions.
And Vern Buchanan, we have questions for you as well. So, and who's the senator?
Jim Boyd. Yeah, our state senator.
Boyd, yes. So, yeah, it would be good to have all of them on to see what they're doing for.
I'm not sure we could ever get Marco Rubio on the show. I think that would just be too traumatic for me.
Okay.
But anyway,
what about
Melinda, thank you. Yeah, we could. No. Melinda, thank you as always. We'll have to meet up one day this week for coffee and plot our strategy for getting more guests on.
Yes, absolutely.
And once again, as always, excuse me, to Ruth.
To Ruth.